The paper introduces a Bayesian approach for fitting multidimensional ellipsoids to scattered data, emphasizing robustness against noise and outliers. This method views the problem as a Bayesian parameter estimate process, maximizing the posterior probability of an ellipsoidal solution given the data. A uniform prior distribution is used to constrain the search for primitive parameters within an ellipsoidal domain, ensuring ellipsoid-specific results. The method also incorporates a uniform distribution on top of the predictive distribution to enhance robustness against outliers. The expectation maximization (EM) framework is used for solving the problem, with an epsilon accelerated technique to expedite convergence. The paper theoretically proves the method's superior robustness compared to conventional least squares-based methods and demonstrates its effectiveness across various applications including microscopy, cell counting, 3D reconstruction, geometric shape approximation, and magnetometer calibration tasks. In addressing the challenges of ellipsoid-specific fitting in various dimensions, researchers often face issues with large axis ratios, sensitivity to outliers, and noise. To overcome these limitations, a novel paradigm is proposed, offering accurate fitting of ellipsoidal surfaces, stability, robustness, and generalization capabilities to multidimensional spaces. This approach involves Bayesian fitting of ellipsoidal surfaces in Rn, where each model point is considered a potential source for generating measurement data through a predictive distribution. A prior assumption of uniform sampling from an ellipsoidal domain ensures ellipsoid-specific results. The method solves an unconstrained optimization problem, independent of spatial dimensions, facilitating straightforward generalization to multidimensional spaces. To address outliers, a uniform distribution related to the volume of the input data points is introduced, significantly enhancing the robustness of the method. The maximum a posterior probability estimate of the ellipsoidal surface is solved using Bayes' theorem, given the data, and the expectation maximization framework is employed to solve the resulting maximum likelihood estimate problem. The proposed method is compared to previous least squares-based frameworks, highlighting its superior robustness. The necessity of the uniform component in designing robust algorithms is theoretically proven using the Kullback-Leibler information criterion. Extensive experiments validate the accuracy and robustness of the proposed approach in challenging settings, demonstrating its generalization capability to high-dimensional spaces and broad applicability across different practical domains. This refined approach builds upon a recent conference paper, providing deeper theoretical and experimental insights and substantial additional improvements and refinements. In computer vision and geometry processing, fitting an ellipsoidal surface to a set of 3D data points is a fundamental problem. A general quadric is defined as a second-degree polynomial equation in 3 variables, representing a surface in 3D space. However, not all quadrics are ellipsoids, and a specific condition is required to ensure ellipsoidal specificity. This condition, known as the axis ratio-dependent ellipsoid specificity condition, involves the ratio of the lengths of the principal axes of the ellipsoid. Existing algorithms for fitting ellipsoidal surfaces to data points often struggle with large axis ratios and outliers. These limitations can lead to inaccurate or unstable solutions. The problem formulation for fitting an ellipsoidal surface involves minimizing the sum of squared distances between the data points and the surface, subject to the axis ratio-dependent ellipsoid specificity condition. This nonlinear least squares problem is challenging to solve, especially when dealing with noisy or incomplete data. The axis ratio-dependent ellipsoid specificity condition is crucial in ensuring that the fitted surface is indeed an ellipsoid, rather than a more general quadric. This condition is often overlooked in existing algorithms, leading to suboptimal solutions. By explicitly incorporating this condition into the problem formulation, more accurate and robust fitting results can be achieved. The proposed approach addresses the limitations of existing algorithms, providing a more reliable method for fitting ellipsoidal surfaces to 3D data points. The methodologies for fitting ellipsoids in multidimensional spaces are discussed, including algebraic, geometric, and Bayesian fitting methods. Existing approaches are highlighted for their limitations in handling outliers and noise or their inapplicability in higher dimensional spaces. The authors introduce a proposed methodology leveraging Bayesian inference to estimate ellipsoid parameters in Rn. They describe the predictive distribution, approximating it using the Monte Carlo method, transforming Bayesian posterior optimization into a maximum likelihood estimation problem. The parameterization of the ellipsoidal surface and the expectation maximization algorithm for parameter optimization are detailed. To improve M-algorithm convergence, a vector epsilon technique is introduced. An initialization scheme alleviates the need for manual hyperparameter selection. A robust analysis compares their method with previous least squares fitting paradigms, demonstrating the robustness of their algorithm. The paper discusses Bayesian posterior optimization for ellipsoidal surface parameter estimation. It starts by describing the goal of maximizing the probability of an ellipsoid instance given measurement data. This involves calculating the likelihood function and the prior distribution over the ellipsoidal domain. The predictive distribution is also derived, emphasizing the connection between individual data points and observations. The paper then adopts a non-parametric Monte Carlo scheme for approximation and introduces an augmentation to account for outliers. The Bayesian optimization of the posterior parameter is formulated to find the maximum a posteriori map estimate. The parameterization of the ellipsoidal surface is discussed, using a unit, n1, sphere to initialize sample points. The relationship between observations and the sphere is established, leading to the derivation of the shape matrix and center position. The paper concludes by reparameterizing the ellipsoidal surface using geometric parameters for a more convenient reconfiguration. The optimization process for the target parameter omega is facilitated by the expectation maximization (M) framework. In the S-step, the posterior probability is computed using Bayes' theorem, which provides a fundamental principle for updating probabilities based on new data. This step is followed by the M-step, where the new parameter omega is updated by minimizing the expectation of the complete data negative log likelihood function. This function quantifies the difference between the observed data and the model's predictions, thereby guiding the optimization process. To enhance the convergence behavior of the M algorithm, an acceleration technique is introduced. This technique leverages the iterative nature of the M algorithm, enabling faster convergence to the optimal parameter values. The mathematical derivations and proofs for the convergence of the M algorithm and its accelerated version are provided, ensuring the validity and reliability of the optimization process. Furthermore, an automated initialization approach is proposed for the parameters M and W using the relative density-based outlier score, RDOS. This approach eliminates the need for manual initialization, which can be time-consuming and prone to errors. The RDOS metric is particularly effective in identifying outliers and assigning them lower weights, thereby improving the robustness of the optimization process. The initialization process for parameters M and W in the proposed algorithm involves the RDOS method to estimate the size of inliers and the outlier ratio, providing a reasonable initialization for both M and W. The inclusion of a uniform distribution component in the loss function is crucial for robustness against outliers. This is illustrated by an example analysis, where varying the weight W in a standard Gaussian distribution with M equals 1 in 1D space demonstrates the algorithm's tolerance towards outliers. The results, as shown in Figure 3, emphasize the importance of the uniform distribution component. The research paper presents an in-depth experimental evaluation of Bayes-Fit, a novel algorithm for 2D ellipse fitting. Bayes-Fit leverages the principles of Bayesian inference to estimate the parameters of an ellipse given a set of noisy observations. The proposed method is designed to be robust against outliers and non-elliptical data points, making it a significant advancement in the field. The experimental setup involves comparing Bayes-Fit with other state-of-the-art methods such as RANSAC and direct least squares, DLS. These comparisons are conducted on both synthetic and real-world datasets. The synthetic dataset consists of elliptical shapes with varying levels of noise and outliers, while the real-world dataset includes images of various objects with elliptical features. The key findings indicate that Bayes-Fit outperforms existing methods in terms of accuracy and robustness, particularly when dealing with high levels of noise and outliers. The algorithm demonstrates superior performance in estimating the parameters of the ellipse, including its center, major and minor axes, and orientation. Moreover, Bayfit shows improved efficiency compared to RANSAC, which is known for its high computational complexity. The paper also discusses the limitations of the proposed algorithm, such as its reliance on proper initialization and the requirement for a sufficient number of observations. Future work could involve addressing these limitations and extending the algorithm to handle more complex geometric shapes. In conclusion, the experimental evaluation of Bayfit presents a promising new approach for 2D ellipse fitting, offering enhanced accuracy, robustness, and efficiency compared to existing methods. The findings suggest that Bayfit has potential applications in various fields, including computer vision, robotics, and image processing. The authors of the research paper present a comprehensive evaluation of their proposed method, Bayfit, for robust ellipse fitting in various scenarios. They compare Bayfit with state-of-the-art approaches, including Cauchy, LMS, HGMM, SARFit, RANSAC, and Bayfit, on outlier-contaminated settings. The results, depicted in Figure 6, demonstrate that Bayfit achieves higher breakdown points and is substantially more robust and stable against outlier disturbances. In terms of qualitative comparisons of robust ellipse fitting methods on various outlier percentages and noise levels, Bayfit consistently obtains better fitting results than the compared methods, as shown in Figure 7. The authors also report statistical results, adopting a log-scale axis to enhance readability, and observe that all approaches exhibit fluctuations as the noise intensity increases. A comprehensive investigation into the robustness of Bayfit against outliers is conducted by contaminating the elliptical points with uniformly distributed outliers and systematically increasing the outlier ratio from 10% to 80%. The results, summarized in Figure 6, show that Bayfit consistently outperforms competitors by a significant margin across various outlier percentages. The authors assess the efficiency of their proposed method and evaluate the average runtime for all tested algorithms under previous noisy and outlier-contaminated conditions. The results, presented in Figure 9, verify that Bayfit achieves comparable computational speed with most of the competitors. Finally, the authors investigate the effectiveness of their designed method in scenarios involving occlusion and present the quantitative evaluation results of all compared approaches as the occlusion percentage is increased from 10% to 60%. The results demonstrate that Bayfit achieves comparable high accuracy and robustness in occlusion settings. This paper presents a comparative analysis of robust ellipse fitting algorithms, including Bayfit, under varying conditions such as noise, outliers, and different axis ratios. Bayfit consistently demonstrates high robustness and stability against these disturbances, proving its effectiveness in ellipse fitting tasks. In terms of runtime, Bayfit exhibits a significant advantage over other methods, particularly when dealing with outliers. It maintains a relatively low average runtime even at high outlier percentages, indicating its efficiency in handling complex datasets. An ablation study on the uniform distribution component of Bayfit reveals that incorporating this component significantly enhances the algorithm's robustness against outliers. Similarly, an ablation study on the initialization strategy involving Mando demonstrates the effectiveness of the proposed method in determining Mando jointly, eliminating the need for manual adjustments. The paper also applies Bayfit to cell counting in microscopy images, where multiple ellipse fittings are required. Bayfit delivers satisfactory approximations to various cell shapes and provides highly accurate counts of cell quantities, even in challenging environments with a large number of irregular and small cells. This showcases the potential of Bayfit in automating the labor-intensive task of cell counting. Quantitative evaluations on occlusion measurements are presented in the research paper, showcasing the robustness of Bayfit in handling varying levels of occlusion. Figure 10 illustrates the average center error, major axis error, minor axis error, and area error of Bayfit compared to other state-of-the-art methods as the occlusion level increases from 10% to 60%. The results demonstrate Bayfit's superior performance in maintaining accuracy despite increasing occlusion. Figure 11 presents qualitative comparisons of Bayfit with other methods on two occlusion scenarios, where the occlusion percentage is gradually increased from 40% to 60%. The results visually illustrate Bayfit's ability to accurately fit ellipsoidal surfaces even in the presence of significant occlusion. An ablation study of the uniform distribution is also conducted, where the outlier percentage is gradually increased from 1% to 15%. The results demonstrate the robustness of Bay fit in handling outliers, maintaining a low average error even at high outlier percentages. The authors then shift their focus to assessing 3D ellipsoid fitting, evaluating the proposed method on the fitting of 3D ellipsoidal surfaces. They employed two metrics: the offset bias EC and the shape deviation AIA, defined in equation 22. They conduct 100 independent trials for each test and report the average metrics in terms of EC and AIA. In synthetic experiments, the authors generate sample points from ellipsoidal surfaces using a sampling approach similar to recursive sampling. They present two sets of ellipsoidal point clouds with various data sizes obtained through parametric and random samplings. Table 2 presents quantitative comparisons of 3D ellipsoidal surface fitting on outlier contaminated measurements, showcasing Bayfit's superior performance compared to state-of-the-art algebraic methods, including Tukey, Huber, and Rix. Finally, the authors discuss noisy evaluations, adding zeromian Gaussian noise with sigma element of 5%, 25%, to 200 data points sampled from a randomly synthetic ellipsoidal surface. They compare Bayfit with state-of-the-art algebraic methods, including DLS, HES, MQF, and others, demonstrating Bayfit's robustness in handling noisy data. The performance of Bayfit, a novel method for 3D ellipsoidal surface fitting, is evaluated through a series of experiments. The impact of varying the value of K on the initialization of M and W is demonstrated in Figure 13, where K equals 31 is shown to provide a higher quality initialization. This is compared to manual initialization, where W is directly set to 0.3, denoted by the horizontal blue line. A quantitative comparison of Bayfit with state-of-the-art methods, including DLS, HES, MQF, COOP, Tobin, GF, and Rix, is presented in Table 3. The results reveal that Bayfit achieves the best overall fitting accuracy, with lower average center error, average major axis error, and average minor axis error, even in the presence of heavy noise. The applicability of Bayfit is demonstrated through its application to cell counting in microscopy fluorescence and blood cell images, shown in Figures 14 and 15, respectively. The sampling schemes used in Bayfit are compared in Figure 16, highlighting the superiority of the parametric scheme in generating more evenly distributed points. A qualitative comparison of the fitting results obtained by different methods under 10% Gaussian noise and 1% outliers is presented in Figure 17. The results show that Bayfit outperforms competitors, achieving higher approximation accuracy. The robustness of Bayfit against outliers is also evaluated by contaminating the ground truth data points with a set of outliers with increasing percentage eta and noise level sigma. The results are compared to those obtained using two popular mestimators, Tukey and Huber, which employ influence functions to depress outlier disturbances. The Bayfit method for 3D ellipsoid fitting is evaluated in the presence of outliers and occlusion. Comparative analysis with state-of-the-art methods reveals that Bayfit consistently outperforms its competitors, particularly when the outlier percentage exceeds 50%. This robustness is attributed to Bayfit's novel weighting scheme and geometric constraints, which enable it to effectively handle outliers. A qualitative comparison of Bayfit against other methods demonstrates its superior fitting stability and accuracy as the outlier percentage increases from 60% to 100%. While other methods experience significant deviations, Bayfit maintains a stable fitting. Furthermore, the effectiveness of Bayfit is assessed under conditions of occlusion, where a cutting plane orthogonal to the y-axis is introduced to create occlusion data. Results show that as the volume occlusion percentage O(T) increases, all methods exhibit larger deviations, but Bayfit demonstrates performance comparable to other algebraic fitting approaches even at high occlusion percentages. Geometric fitting methods, such as Tobin and GF, produce higher quality fittings, highlighting the importance of incorporating geometric information in the fitting process. Additionally, the influence of the axis ratio on Bayfit's performance is investigated by generating a series of 3D ellipsoidal surfaces with varying axis ratios. Statistical results demonstrate Bayfit's ability to handle different axis ratios, a challenging aspect for many current ellipsoid-specific fitting algorithms. The performance of the proposed Bay fit method in fitting challenging ellipsoids with large axis ratios is discussed in this section. Bay fit demonstrates enhanced robustness and stability against large axis ratios, outperforming competitors in terms of accuracy and stability. The paper also investigates the effect of the epsilon accelerated M algorithm on ellipsoid fitting, showing that the acceleration rate becomes more significant as either the sample size or the desired convergence precision increases. An ablation study of the sampling schemes is conducted, comparing the parametric and random sampling methods under outlier and noise settings. The results indicate that both sampling strategies yield similar performance. Comparing parametric and random sampling strategies, researchers evaluated their performance under diverse noise and outlier settings. Both methods yielded similar results, with slight accuracy advantages in noisy environments. Offset error and shape error assessments revealed that parametric and random samplings achieved relatively higher accuracy in noisy settings, although differences were modest. The algorithm was then generalized to high-dimensional spaces, specifically R4 and R12, and compared to baseline methods SOD and Taubin, customized for high-dimensional ellipsoid fittings. Despite incorporating ellipsoid-specific constraints from 3D to higher dimensional spaces, SOD and Taubin failed to guarantee ellipsoid-specific surfaces, sometimes resulting in non-ellipsoidal quadrics under certain fitting settings. In R4, 100 data points were sampled from an ellipsoidal surface, and fitting results were evaluated under varying noise intensities. Noise intensity significantly impacted fitting outcomes, with heavy noise deviating Taubin from ellipsoidal surfaces to other quadrics. In contrast, SOD and Bay fit consistently maintained ellipsoid-specific fittings across 100 runs. The impact of data quantity on ellipsoid-specific fitting was also assessed in R12. When the number of data points was less than 100, SOD and Taubin exhibited higher failure rates in achieving ellipsoid-specific fits. Conversely, Bay fit consistently delivered successful ellipsoidal surface fits across a range of data sizes. Average runtime for the tested methods was reported, showing consistent fitting speeds as noise levels increased. Although Bay fit was slightly slower, it maintained real-time fitting with a runtime below 0.06 s. In R12, as the number of data points increased, Bay fit experienced a longer runtime but still achieved fast fitting within 0.25 s, demonstrating significant improvement in fitting accuracy. Overall, the researchers demonstrated the generalization capability of their algorithm in high-dimensional spaces, showcasing its robustness and accuracy in ellipsoid fitting under various noise and data settings. The limitations of Bay fit are discussed, including the challenges of heavy occlusion, determining the optimal parameter K, and uniform sampling. Heavy occlusion can lead to less accurate fittings, and improving robustness against noise and outliers is crucial. The optimal value of K for Manduin initialization is currently determined manually, and exploring automated techniques is desirable. Uniform sampling schemes, while efficient, do not guarantee strictly uniform coverage, which can result in biased Monte Carlo estimation. To address these limitations, incorporating geometric information, such as the Sampson distance, and exploring advanced sampling strategies are suggested. The page discusses various methods for fitting ellipses and hyperellipsoids to data. It begins with a review of traditional least squares methods, including the work of Gander, Golub, and Strebel, and continues with more advanced techniques such as the use of semi-definite programming and alternating direction method of multipliers. The section also covers robust fitting methods, including those based on the expectation maximization algorithm and half-quadratic optimization. The discussion concludes with a review of Bayesian approaches, including the use of maximum entropy and Bayesian data analysis. Fitting ellipsoids to point clouds in 3D space is a fundamental task in computer vision, robotics, and biomedical imaging. Existing methods, however, struggle with robustness against outliers and noise. To address this, a novel two-stage approach is proposed, combining the strengths of different existing methods while mitigating their weaknesses. The initial estimation stage employs a computationally efficient least squares method to obtain ellipsoid parameters. This is followed by a refinement step, which utilizes the Liebenberg-Marquardt algorithm, a nonlinear least squares optimization technique, to optimize these parameters. This approach effectively handles noisy data, improving the accuracy of the ellipsoid parameters. The performance of the proposed method is evaluated on synthetic and real-world datasets, including a dataset of blood cells obtained from the American Society of Hematology. Results demonstrate superior performance compared to existing methods in terms of accuracy and robustness, even when dealing with highly noisy data. This novel approach offers significant improvements over existing methods, particularly in scenarios with outliers or noisy data. The method's robustness and accuracy make it a valuable contribution to fields where geometric primitive fitting is essential, including computer vision, robotics, and biomedical imaging.